YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Buddha back in the building for another Last Cloudia video. Now we all know Last Cloudia is a little dead right now. We've got the one Shift Maiden event going on and not much else other than just your typical grinds, Imperial Guard Commander 3, the Maiden event if you're taking advantage of the fast tours, and a little bit of multiplayer. There's not much else to cover, so I figured now's a perfect time to tackle some videos, some general topics that I've been sitting on for a while. And in today's video, we're going to be going over something that was requested in my last Arc Ether rewards, specifically weapons for General Pool SSR arcs. I made that video because it's just going to stay relevant for all arcs available at all times for all players. But someone did want me to go over the URs and LRs. I did just focus on weapons, but I figure since we're looking at limited arcs in this case, I can go ahead and tackle each one. So armors, accessories, weapons. We'll just go arc by arc and determine whether it's a high priority to use your Etherean or Ether grind, medium or low. The thing is, every arc and AER is situational, so you can't necessarily prioritize these rewards in a general sense. It's going to be specific to your characters, what arcs you have, what kind of setups you're aiming to make, and all of that stuff takes time. So I like to give it this kind of priority ranking and just go over each one to determine how to know if going for this AER is right for you and your account, and whether it's worth it depending on what you're looking for. So we're starting out with one of the kings of URs, right? Imperator El'dravahna has the AER Zelbius blade. We can see its details right here. It is a sword with the light attribute, so it is element locked. It gives you 20 MP, 225 attack, and 143 intelligence. I think this is the only blade that gives such a high int stat as well as a strength stat. It also gives a plus 5% critical hit rate and 10% damage for all light attacks. Now this used to be one of, if not the best swords in the game until they released Zlorg. The boss fight, which yields you the sword of the Lost Souls, a free-to-play option, which I think bar none is the best sword equip in the game. I love that. But if you do have this UR, you can acquire this really good sword as well. The only drawbacks I see are that it is light locked, so your normal attacks will be resisted if the enemy resists light, and the plus 10% damage buff is only for light physical attacks. So your Alice is going to love this. It was designed for Roland when he released, but there aren't too many options for light attackers in this game, which honestly takes away from how good this sword is. The thing is, it's just got such a high strength stat that it's useful. I thought about using it on characters like Shift Lilibet because she also scales off her intelligence for her attacking power. But honestly, where this may have been a high priority, there are other blades now that I would say trump using your Ethereon or Ether to get. So I would honestly put this at a medium priority. I think there are other Ether rewards that you're going to benefit from more likely than this one right here. Next arc we're looking at is Great War of Ruin, another limited UR that comes with the Arc Ether reward Ring of Wisdom. Now this is a juicy accessory. I wish I had it. I don't have the arc, but it is, like I said, a 7-star accessory. Gives you 50 MP, 94 intelligence, which is a fat intelligence number for an accessory, and 51 MND. It does have some resistances: 5 to fire, 5 to earth, and 10 to dark. It also gives 1 resistance to silencing, so very good for your casters. But its effect is where it shines. When at the wave start, you get an auto res buff to you. So upon the character dying, they will revive one time to 100% immediately, and that's each wave. So if you're taking on multiple waves and you're worried about the character dying, guess what? You got 1 res per wave, which is fantastic. I'd say this is definitely a high priority. It's going to serve you well at any stage in the game. If you were able to pull Gwar during the 2nd year anniversary, it was one of the URs that you picked up. Right now, you don't have access to it at the time I'm filming this, but if you do have it, it's sitting there and you're wondering where to spend your Ethereum. You've already grabbed Trishula from Kaldina the Great. This is definitely a great option for any level of gameplay, early game, mid game, or late game. Third arc we're looking at is Sky Fortress Solaris, another UR that comes with the Ether Reward Bolt Cannon Belane. So I love this arc Ether Reward, but it is very situational. Let's take a look at it. It's 7-star of the Thunder element. Comes with 210 strength and 165 intelligence. Another weapon that has a high strength, high intelligence, both combined. And the effect is plus 10% damage for all thunder attacks and plus 10% special damage. I love this weapon, and I did prioritize getting this because I have Guardian Angel LiQWYD, a unit that you can pull at any point in time, but this weapon is literally built for Guardian Angel LiQWYD. It was released alongside Divine Beast Ray, but the fact that it gives high strength, high intelligence, both scaling G LiQWYD's attack, and it gives all of her damage plus 10%, literally all her skills and special 10% extra, and she shines on her special damage. You're boosting it up that much more. This weapon is literally perfect for her. Another element locked weapon and very situational, something you want to give to G LiQWYD really. If you have G LiQWYD and you're focusing on her, this is high priority. Other than that, it's a good weapon, but only as a stat stick for other characters if you're really lacking a machine type. And like I said, Trishula is your #1 priority. That's the Arc Ether Reward from Kaldina the Great, which is an SSR arc. I went over that in my last video. That's going to be your main machine weapon that you're going to want to equip to elemental attackers. This is just a nice bonus, like I said, for G LiQWYD. If you have G LiQWYD and you're focusing her, it becomes high priority. But honestly, if you don't, it's probably a low to medium priority. Next up, we got Lily Matter. Oh, this arc is painful. It's the first UR arc I ever got, and it is the bottom of the UR arc tier list, I'd say. But it does come with the accessory Godwelkin Ring, which is also, I'd say, just so underwhelming. Very situational. It's a 7-star accessory. Gives you 50 MP, 98 intelligence, 19 defense, and 20 mind. So some nice stat sticks. It does have 10 light and 10 dark resistance, and 1 resistance to silencing. Something made literally for AOG Lily when she came out. Made for casters. The effects, it gives 10% damage for both light and dark magic, and light and dark magic will ignore 10% of mind. So honestly, there are better accessories that are free and you're going to obtain them way earlier than going after this. I would say this is a low priority accessory if you're focusing on a light or dark magic mage, which is only really going to be your OG or AOG Lily. This might serve useful, but like I said, there are other options I'd use first, just like the 2 accessories that increase your casting speed, Rad Moonstone and Cultist Pendant. Cultist Pendant increases your casting speed and increases dark damage, so it's kind of doing already half of what this is doing, and it's giving you more casting speed. This just doesn't take any priority. Like I said, this is the first UR arc this is the first UR arc that I got, and I have not ever needed or wanted to prioritize this AER at all. So I would say it's low. All right, my browser's being a little wonky, but we're going to start here. Next, we're looking at Theopolis of Lost Magnus, one of the more recent UR arcs to come out alongside Shift Zekis. I did just pick it up recently, and I'm very glad I did, because the Arc Ether Reward that comes with it is Dimension Wand Negranze. Don't get too mad at me for that pronunciation. It is a staff weapon of the neutral element. We can see its details if I move my mouse. Comes with 97 strength, 250 int, and 121 MND. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the highest int stat on naturally on a weapon without any enhancements. And the effect is plus 15% to magic damage. Very nice. And minus 2 MP for all support magic. Now, if you are looking to build out any mage, rainbow mage, any mage of any element, this is going to be a highly, highly desired AER for you, just because of its monstrous int stack. Very high MND stat as well, so that's going to help with any heals, and it gives minus 2 MP for all support magic, which I believe does affect healing. Healing falls under the support magic class, so it's going to make your heals even cheaper to cast. It's just one of the best staffs in the game, bar none. Even if you're trying to build a physical attacking DPS mage, more often than not, your mages will scale their normal and physical attacks off of their int stat, so it's very highly desired in that way, just like if you were given a 250 strength stat to a traditional physical type attacker. That's how this weapon as a stat booster is going to act for your mages. So it's very useful, and whenever you're casting magic damage, you're getting plus 15% to it, helping you get those caps even easier. So like I said, if you're trying to build a mage, this is definitely a high priority weapon. If not, I'd still say this is medium priority, because it's just good to have ready in your arsenal when you are ready to build out your mage or use an attacker that scales off intelligence. Next, looking at the newest UR to the game, Kagutsuchi. Released alongside Shift Kyle, it comes with a very potent, powerful AER for Kyle, really specifically, or any fire type physical attacker. It's a 7-star locked behind the fire element, 255 strength stat, and 30 defense, 15 mind. The effect plus 5% critical hit rate and plus 15% damage for fire physical attacks. Pretty much the fire version of Zelbius, the AER that we saw on El'dravahna. A little more strength stat on top, no intelligence, something to take note of, and a bit increased damage for fire attacks in particular. Like I said, there's not much to say about this. If you've got Kyle, this is pretty high priority if you're looking to build him. Even though Lord Sword is still the better, I'd say in a general sense, this is going to make your Kyle hit much harder naturally because of that huge strength stat and increased damage overall. If you're focusing on Kyle and you need a good weapon, let's say you're not end game yet, so you're not even touching Zlorg, who is a level 100 world boss, I'd say this is definitely medium to high priority to go after, just to get an edge on having a great weapon for him as soon as possible. Another one of the newest URs, and something that you don't acquire through summoning, technically. You have to actually complete some objectives to obtain the Guardians. It is a free-to-play, or I should say luck-to-play UR arc that comes with the Radiant Armor of Ardine. Y'all can correct me on the pronunciation. 7-star armor that is of the neutral element. I don't know if armors typically come with an element, but it gives 450 health, 248 defense, and 150 mind, so some big stat sticks. It does have 5 resistance to dark, and the effect is when revived, grant the following buffs to self. You get 25% increases across all of your stats except for HP, strength, int, defense, and mind for 40 seconds. So upon your first res, you're going to get a lot of stat boosts. This is going to actually work very well with the ring we were looking at on Gwar. If you do have a suicide build on a character, you slap a skill like Netherworld Nature, you have this armor equipped and the ring, so you can guarantee yourself 1 revive if that unit dies, or your objective is to make the unit die, so you kind of use other methods to nuke it down, bring it back to life. That unit's going to come back very strong with this armor. However, I would say that if you are building a single wield character, there are better options, because at the end of the day, your objective is not to die with your character. So you can only make full use of this armor when your unit does die. Other than that, you're just looking at some big stat sticks and a little resistance to dark, which kind of honestly brings it down a couple tiers. So I personally wouldn't put Ethereum to this or prioritize it. I'd say it's definitely a low priority AER for those reasons, and even more the fact that dual wielding is what you're really going to want. Even on a tank, you know, you don't want your tank to die, so at that point this armor becomes even less useful. Like I said, if you're going for a zombie style build, you can get away with some cool stuff, but it's kind of a counterintuitive strategy in most situations. That's going to cover the URs. Now we're going to be looking at the LRs. These are limited release arcs that we most likely won't see, or we can't guarantee that we'll see them again. Most of the LRs come with collabs and or are seasonal, and to my knowledge, the seasonal LRs haven't returned. They've been new seasonal LRs each time, so this isn't going to help much if you're starting an account brand new and you're just stumbling upon this video. More covering this for people who have these things maybe sitting in their inventory. They've been playing casually on and off, and they're just looking for information. They say, oh, I have that, and they want to know if they should prioritize getting the AER on it. We're going to start right here with Beast of the End. This was during the ReZero collab the first time it came around. Still an incredible, one of the top tier arcs. It offers the Ether Reward Magic Crystal Necklace accessory. This is a 6-star. It comes with a 70 intelligence stat boost and 30 to mind. It also has a resistance to silencing as well. One of these caster specific AERs, and the effect is when using skills, heal 2 MP. That's very nice. And when casting attack magic, plus 1 SCT to all skills. This is a great accessory for casters because of that MP recovery that it offers. However, I don't see it too much in a lot of meta builds. I feel like there are other equipment that you're going to prioritize with casters. Things that increase casting speed are just, they give your casters such an edge, especially with spells that typically take, or they have a longer cast time naturally, that you can't justify wasting an accessory slot. Although maybe if you couple this with one of the casting speed increase items, you can make for a pretty nasty little combo there. So I would say this is maybe medium priority, right? You're building out a caster, you've got your cast speed increases, you realize that you don't maybe need both slots increasing the casting speed, and you want a little extra utility. This is going to be still a great option. Like, MP recovery is huge for a lot of casters. I could even see this being useful in PvP for physical type DPS utilizing Sharp Eyes. If you've got them spamming skills all the time, they're going to be recovering this 2 MP, which can then bring their mana bar up enough to launch another attack to get the Sharp Eyes effect. That's a little bit of a gimmicky approach to using this equipment. So like I said, I would keep this at a medium priority. Just because I don't think it's best in slot a lot of the time, and it's focused on casters, which just is not the meta right now. If you're looking for efficiency, you gotta focus your time on other things. The next LR arc we're looking at is From Zero, the other arc that came when the ReZero collab rolled around the first time. It is a fantastic arc, I know that, and it offers the AER Rem's headband, which is an accessory, gives 150 health and then 60 to both defense and mind, and resistance to illness, which is actually really nice. The effect is plus 10% for neutral physical attacks and minus 10% magic damage received. Just a really solid accessory for an increase in your neutral damage and a bit of magic damage reduction. Some nice stat sticks, nothing too crazy, but the illness resistance is nice. That 10% damage is going to be useful for your characters like Rem if you have her, or Bayland, Merity, but not as much, because with Merity you want to be using her against enemies with a decreased resistance to thunder, so she can get all those damage boosts. So this would only affect the damage when enemies are not weak to that. It's a solid accessory, but there are better ones out there. I would give it maybe a low to medium priority, something you're going to get when you're looking for an accessory that maybe gives you illness resistance or some extra damage for a character if you're focusing on a neutral attacker. Other than that, it's just kind of basic. Banquet of the Nether was the Halloween LR that rolled around last October. Like I said, I don't know if we'll see this again this coming Halloween. If you were around, you have this. It comes with the AER Pumpkin Armor, which I actually do see a lot, so let's take a look at it. 6-star, 500 health stat, which is pretty fat, and 171 defense. Comes with 10 resistance to fire, 10 resistance to thunder, but a negative 10 weakness to light. It does come with some resistances as well. Poison, blind, and illness. Pretty nice. And it gives +1 enemy attraction. Now, this is a very, very good armor for your tanks, right? That's why this is very commonly used in tank builds, because it gives you that nice 500 extra health, a big old 171 to defense, a lot of resistances, a couple elemental resistances. That -10 to light kind of stinks, but you also get the +1 enemy attraction, which is what you want. You want an extra allure if you're building out a tank. So I see people opt for this armor a lot when they're going for that type of build. And if you are, I'd say this is a high priority. If you're looking for one of the better armor pieces and you've got other AERs already completed, you just pulled Ruto and you want to make him very effective, this is going to help with that. Or going for Tweak's Tank Bayland build, which I still need to publicize. I know a couple people asked me, how do you make Bayland a tank? I gotta get on Tweaks to help me showcase that, but this is going to be one of your better options. So in that specific case, I'd say it's high priority, but other than that, unless you're looking to build out a tank, I'd say this is low to medium priority. Medium priority if you want to have one of the better armor options sitting there waiting for that opportunity to build out a tank, but one of those situational items. Next, we're looking at White Christmas. This was the LR to come out actually when I started playing last December. I wasn't able to pick it up because I didn't have the account ready or built out to acquire enough points in order to buy this, sadly. But if I recall, I'm not missing too much. The AER is Yuletide Starhammer, which is a hammer weapon, 6-star of the light element, so it is elemental locked. Comes with 177 strength, which is okay, and 116 mind, which is nice. I mean, if you're doing Proud Force heals. And the effect is regular attacks have a 10% chance to, I'm guessing that means recover 3% HP. Low priority. This is honestly kind of a waste of your time. Hammers just are not a prevalent weapon in the game. They don't shine at all. The strength stat is very low compared to other alternatives that are better if you are looking for a hammer weapon. And the effect of regular attacks having a chance to recover some HP, it's just not that great. With your physical attackers, you're going to be Proud Force healing on criticals, which will be more than enough in the majority of situations that this kind of effect is basically useless. So this is the first AER we're seeing on a limited arc that's an easy skip. Do not waste Ethereum or your ether grinding time on this. Phantom Tower. Okay, this LR, this is the free-to-play LR that you get from beating the Tower of Trials. I can confidently say this is a free-to-play LR right here. This is around every time Tower comes by. You want to make sure to beat Tower so you can get the arc extensions for it, just to increase the amount of AP you can get from all these skills, but this isn't about the arc itself. Phantom Tower comes with Phantom Tower Key. High priority, I'm going to say before we even look at it. Comes with stat increases across the board, 150 health, 25 MP, and 10 to strength, int, mind, and defense, and the effect plus 500 damage cap. Your PvE team, your PvE physical damage dealer, is going to love this. You know, now that I'm reading it, the fact that it just says damage cap, I think that applies to magic damage as well. So this is going to serve as an increase to your damage cap, right? If you're capping at 9,999, you're now capping at 10,499, which, when you take into consideration hit counts, adds up and increases your damage by quite a bit. Damage caps are always a very desirable option, and you can get this one completely for free once you are able to beat Tower. And as soon as you do, I would recommend, if you've got your Trishula, you've got some other ones that you've prioritized for your specific build, this is going to be a great arc to dump some Ethereum into. Or you can play the patient game and just wait to accumulate those duplicates from beating Phantom Tower. You know, now that I'm talking about it, the best approach to this is probably ether grinding it. Save your Ethereum for arcs that you can't guarantee a duplicate for. Although, I mean, if you went solely based on duplicates, if this tower comes around every month, you get 5% per extra ether per duplicate. So you would need to wait 20 months. With 0 ether farming, you'd have to wait 20 months. So a year, almost 2 years, which, I mean, yes, might be the smart option, but if you have the ability to get an item that gives you damage cap, for me, that's a priority to snag it up. Something that's just always going to be useful on your account, no matter who you're building out. This is a high priority ether reward to grab. Devil May Cry Mobile Office was one of the LRs to come out with the DMC collab that we saw not too long ago, just a couple months ago, and it comes with the AER Overture, based on the arm that Nero rocks in the DMC games. I see it as a budget bolt cannon Blaine's, even though at this point you're likely going to have the chance to get Solaris over this arc unless they do a DMC collab rerun. But if you have this, it's a thunder weapon 6-star machine that has 187 strength, 15 defense, and gives plus 20% for physical thunder attacks. That is a nice damage increase, but you're going to like that on top of your DB Ray. It can be useful, I'd say, for a physical attack DPS build on G-Lukiel. But like I said, Bolt Cannon Blaine's is definitely the better option when you're comparing the relative effects of the two weapons. I did personally grind this up. I did dump some some Ethereans into this so I could have this weapon for DB Ray because he was kind of my main DPS at the time. But unless you are building a physical type thunder attacker who can equip machines, or you have the arcs to equip the skill machine equip, I'd honestly give this a low to medium priority rank because it's very situational and there are better weapons to focus on getting. Nefarious, Usurper, Urizen, or Urizen, I don't know which one it is, but I've heard both, is the other LR arc to come in the DMC collab, and it offers this gimmicky ether reward. Forbidden Fruit, I don't have this one sadly, but it is 6-star accessory, 750 health stat, which is pretty big. That's a big health stat. -5 to light and 10 resistance to dark. The effect: when HP is at 15% or less in a boss wave, activate the following effects: heal for 100% HP and grant plus 75% strength and plus 75% defense for 40 seconds, but then the unit dies after 40 seconds. So in a boss wave in particular, once your HP crosses this 15% threshold, you get a full heal and these massive buffs, almost double your strength and defense for 40 seconds, but then your unit just dies. So if you're talking about a long-term fight, maybe like Lambda or Zlorg especially, and your unit does fall below that threshold, you will see that unit basically kamikaze themselves, and that percentage buff is not going to give you enough power to get the job done before that happens. Now, I don't actually know if you can then res that unit and this effect will just keep proccing. If so, it actually might be a viable strategy. So if you guys have clarification on that, let me know in the comments. And for anyone else who doesn't know that is looking for that answer, let us know down below. But that would be pretty nutty, because then you could do some pretty fun zombie builds like I was talking about. This plus the armor we were looking at from the Guardians, I mean, that would be pretty insane. So I wish I had this so I could test it out. Sadly, I don't. In a general sense, if you've got this, I would say this is very low priority, in my opinion, right? It's only going to be really useful when you're talking boss waves, which the boss waves that when you're really piecing together strategies for boss waves, that's end game. If you're kind of, early mid game, this isn't going to do much for you. It might help you on stages you're struggling, because if the enemies are strong, they're taking your units down at the boss wave. They're taking your units down at the boss wave. Your unit then becomes this steroid using attacker and maybe can bully the boss to kill it, but I would say this is a low priority AER in the grand scheme general sense of things. Maiden's Lovely Banquet. This was the LR to come out last Valentine, so earlier in February. We saw this roll around. Extremely good arc for any healer or support style attacker or support style unit. The ether reward, however, is Affectionate Maid Uniform. It is a cloth armor, 6-star, with 50 strength added, 151 defense, and 121 mind. So an interesting stat allocation right there. More focused on the defensive end of things. But it does give +1 enemy attraction, minus 25% feint damage received, and minus 50% feint duration. This might be useful in PvP, not necessarily for Ruto, even though that's kind of the first thought that I had. It's a cloth armor. With Ruto, you want to be equipping your heavy armor, so you'd be losing out on all those passives. And also, if you've got Spirit Maid Interior, the whole feint damage received reduction and minus 50% feint duration isn't really useful anymore, because Spirit Maid Interior offers the ability to give feint nullification to the entire team. So at that point, you don't have to worry about that too much. It does have that allure, like I said, but this is, I'd say, a low priority for sure. This is not going to be a useful item to most players most of the time. Next, we've got Empire of Might. This one. Okay. It is an LR that just came with the rerun of the Dr. Stone collab. And man, it's a good arc for your dark physical type attackers, but it shines with its arc ether reward. It's a 6-star accessory, a 71 strength stat, which for an accessory is very nice, 10 resistance to earth. It gives 1 resistance to curse and 1 resistance to stun, right? This is an accessory for a physical attacker, and all of that, the strength boost, resistance to curse, and resistance to stun are literally the most important resistances for your physical attackers. And the effect, Wave Start, increase strength by 15% of base int and reduce base int by 5%. Like I said, for physical attackers, your intelligence is most of the time negligible, so you're stacking this sapped intelligence and putting it on top of the 71 strength stat already. In the podcast, when Tweaks and Crypt and I reviewed this, he gave the scenario that this has the potential to increase an attacker's strength stat by like over 300, which is literally insane for an accessory. A high priority, I would say. If you're looking for a great accessory that's going to make your physical attacker slap even harder, this is definitely a high priority. If you're focusing on mages or support type characters and you've got what you want for your physical attackers, I'd still say this is high priority. This is going to help in so many builds, just make your character look even better. And since physical DPS is the meta and you're looking for efficiency, this is going to be a great AER to dump your Ethereum into. 1,000 Nights and 1,000 Skies was the other new LR that came with the Dr. Stone rerun. And it comes with the AER cell phone. Lowest priority on this list. No, but yes. I mean, it comes with 40 MP. Nothing to intelligence, okay? This is a caster. This is made for a caster because its effect is enable science magic to deal critical hits. Now, some might argue, oh, well, at that point, you save all of this SC on your magic criticals, which can total, if you take into account every single element, I think magic criticals are what, 4 SC? 6 SC, I'm sorry. So 6 SC, you've got, what, 6 elements, so 36 SC you save with this item. Okay, 1, you're talking about only science magic. 2, your casters are typically going to focus on one element, which decreases that SC save by a lot when you're taking that into consideration, or if that is the situation. And 3, there are just no stat boosts besides 40 MP that it gives to anyone. Just a very poorly designed AER. Everything about this arc is just extremely underwhelming. I mean, this whole ability so gimmicky, and then to top it off, it just has one of the worst AERs, I'd say, especially for an LR limited arc. This should have been another Stoneworld SR arc, in my opinion, but it is what it is. It's on this list. Do not spend on this. There are many other ways to get your magicals doing crits for a much more effective and efficient return than using this accessory right here. And there we go. There are my thoughts on all of the AERs pertaining to URs and LR limited arcs. Okay, I hope I covered everything. I probably didn't. There are probably other details I forgot to mention. Let me give some huge shout outs. I forgot to do it at the beginning of the video, but we are on Lake's gold mine site. You can see the link. I'm going to link it in the description so you can utilize it. You've got so many different tabs in here and more incoming whenever Lake is able to update the site next, but it has all of the information you're looking for. As we all know, everything in Last Cloudia is a bit vague. They don't give the exact numbers, but on Lake's site, we've got all the numbers, percentages, and data we can dream of when trying to analyze what this game is and how things perform. Lake is just literally the GOAT. He volunteers his time to do this. At first he had a spreadsheet which still has a lot of info that you can't find on the website, but the website was released at the beginning of the year, and it's just such a fantastic resource if you're ever looking for more information regarding a lot of things in Last Cloudia. You can also send him a donation by buying him a pull right here, which I would recommend just to keep him motivated, keep him able to work on this whenever he has free time. So shout out and thank you again and again and again to Lake. He is one of the GOATs of Last Cloudia. Also, this is all opinion based, right? Like I said, when you're judging AERs and arcs and what you need for your account, it is very situational. Some of these things I gave a low priority might be the perfect puzzle piece that you need for a strategy that you're working on, but I am trying to approach this from a general sense when I'm thinking about a new player that hasn't formed their complete thoughts on this game yet. What items coming from these arcs are going to serve them well? That's how I'm trying to base my opinion on these. I don't even have all of these arcs or items, so you know, my perception of them is still a bit biased and or skewed from what I've heard other people talk about them or how they've tried to use them, what worked, what didn't. So keep all that in mind. Of course, I want to hear your thoughts. If there are things that I missed, if I wasn't on the mark, let me know in the comments. Feel free to disagree with me all day. I like reading it. I like critical thinking, trying to figure out where other people are coming from in their opinions and analysis. So that is all welcome in the comment section below. I know I've been MIA for a little bit, and I am sorry. IRL is just a little crazy, right? It's something I have to deal with and just learn how to handle as I continue this YouTube journey. But I wanted to make sure to get a video out today, and I've got a lot more kind of these general videos surrounding Last Cloudia, just addressing different comments and questions I get, putting them into a video form, so then they're just on YouTube, ready for anyone who has the same question to look up and find hopefully some good answers to. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching the video. Y'all know I love you. And that's all I got for you this time. So, with all that being said, y'all know what we say. Work hard, play harder. See you in the next video.